I need you to carry that with you wherever you go. Tracy's a little heated right now.
Egan is still out there.
I've never taken my eyes off of him.
They come for one of us, they come for all of us.
I am dead in here without your help.
When I can't use you no more, you're done.
Now, heading into episode 3, alliances are about to shift. I feel like the power dynamics will also begin to swap hands in the next 2 episodes, heading into an all-important episode 5, which Gary Lennon has teased is a huge episode. They've already started to lay the breadcrumbs and the foundations for a big juicy episode 5, and we can see where they're going with a few of these guys in force. No doubt Tommy will face a lot of questions within his coalition. I even think some may even begin to question whether he's the right man to lead them going forward. And just like I mentioned in my breakdown for episode 2, I do think they have every single right to. I do think Jannard was right. Tommy has started a lot of wars, but at the same time, to get to the top, blood does have to be spilt. So where's the common ground? It's a tricky one, but Tommy knows he has to watch his back when it comes to Jannard and Diamond, especially because he still doesn't know that they've been plotting to take out D-Mac, and that's another problem entirely. The war with the Marquez cartel is also heating up, D-Mac also seems to be strapped and ready to play his part, and we've also got Tommy giving a gun to Maria as well. They're gonna have to be on guard because the Marquez cartel will come again, but so will the CBI. Vic will no doubt try to create a plan to most likely target Stacy Marx, and we've also got Claudia in prison. Can she survive? So, as usual, we are going to be running through the trailer for episode 3, running through all the scenes, as well as a few extra scenes that match up to episode 3 from the teasers and trailers that we've seen before. But first up, the title and synopsis. Now the title of episode 3 is There's Always a Price to Pay, and the synopsis reads: as Tommy does damage control with allies, Diamond and Jannard devise a plan to deal with D-Mac. Meanwhile, Vic is going to be plotting his next move. Now first up, we've got Tommy giving a gun to Maria. A shot that we did actually see before season 3, it was one of the exclusive images that they released. That's because the Marquez cartel came after them in episode 2. He knows that danger lurks around every single corner that he turns, and he also wants to make sure Maria can protect herself if she has to. Whether we see her actually pulling the trigger at some point in this season, in season 3, maybe. There may come a time where she does find herself in danger, and where she may even have to use the gun. Question also still stands whether Tommy is able to protect Maria and break the curse of his previous girlfriends in the world of power. We know what happened with Holly and Lakeisha, so is their time the charm? I guess you can say Maria knows what she's signing up for. She also said it herself in episode 1, and she's also been a part of this world, or within this world, through Miguel Garcia as well. But let's see where they go next with Maria.
Egan is still out there.
I've never taken my eyes off of him.
Now over to law enforcement, we've got Stacy Marx saying that she hasn't taken her eyes off of Tommy Egan. Even though Donna from the DNC and her own team even said, forget about Tommy, let's focus on Ortega and Claudia Flynn. In the background, she's still pushing Vic hard to try and get any info she can to try and help bring him down. Same goes for Claudia Flynn. We saw her go and see her in episode 2 as well. But Stacy Marx is in huge trouble for the rest of this season. We know after the conversation that Vic had with Beth, the target has to be Stacy Marx. She's the weakest at this moment in time. She's the most vulnerable because of what she's going through with Bobby DeFranco in terms of her divorce, and she does have a lot to lose. Her going for the mayor's office in the position that she's in, honestly, if Vic can play his cards right, he can definitely end Stacy Marx's career. He just needs to do some more digging, find some more dirt on Stacy Marx, and episode 3 synopsis does tease that Vic is plotting his next move. Maybe something to do with Ray. I think that's why he approached it towards the end of episode 2, but the end goal definitely will be to turn the tables on Stacy Marx, which I do actually think he eventually will. But can he do the same with Tommy?
When I can't use you no more, you're done.
Now we've got Tommy telling Vic that when he can't use him no more, he's done. We know Vic will be targeting Stacy Marx, that's something we've already been through, but that's only half of Vic's fight. He still also needs to somehow get out from under Tommy's thumb, which I believe is going to prove to be a lot more difficult than to get out from under Stacy Marx. I'm not saying Tommy doesn't have weaknesses as well, because we definitely know he does. One of his biggest weaknesses is family, people that he loves. We've seen how the Flynns have also actually targeted JP back in season 1, but he knows Tommy doesn't play games. One wrong move, one wrong step, and it's lights out. Tommy will definitely kill him. But recently I've been mentioning how the balance of power does often shift from player to player as the season goes by, whether it's Power Book 2 Ghost, whether we're watching Raising Kanan. For example, at one point Rock will be in control, then the next couple of episodes maybe Unique may be in control. Tommy may look like he's in control over Vic at this moment in time, but by episode 7 for example, who knows, a lot can definitely change. But at this moment in time, he's going to have to play this very carefully. Let's see what he puts into motion next, or what Beth helps him with him next. I do think he's going to be using Ray to target Stacy Marx' run for the mayor first, but at the same time, love may also get in the way as well.
I am dead in here without your help.
Now with Claudia Flynn, we've got her in jail. We've also got her on the phone where she mentions she's going to be dead in here without someone's help. She's either speaking to Elise or maybe Vic. Most likely Elise, because we know the history between her and Vic. She has nobody else in her corner apart from her girlfriend, who unfortunately just isn't built for this world either. But this is what I'm really liking about season 3. It seems like they're taking the patient approach, it seems like they're letting the storylines cook, and Claudia being in jail, that's just one of many. We've spoken about how they dropped the ball with Tariq in jail back in Book 2 Ghost Season 2. That's not what they've done here. They haven't magically had Claudia Flynn use Elise's resources of money to pay for a big shot lawyer to help Claudia out of jail. She's stuck, and she's gonna have to find a way to survive for those who step to her in jail. But the one thing I do keep saying about Claudia Flynn, never bet against her. She always seems to find a way. She always seems to find a way of manipulating people, getting people to work for her, or even do her dirty work. So you never know what move she has up her sleeve. But I'm definitely looking forward to more of these jail scenes in episode 3. I knew at some point we would have to see her in survival mode. They're letting the storylines cook for a while she's in jail. Gary Lennon definitely has it right, as I thought he would. So let's see how she copes.
You getting ready to go to war or what?
Now with the CBI, we've got Diamond lifting a white sheet, and he definitely doesn't like what he's seen underneath. And this is why the coalition were worried. Bodies dropping and a war with the cartel. Going up against the Mexican cartel wasn't what these guys signed up for. We also have Janard mentioning, are they getting ready to go to war or what? But as we know from what Mecca once told us back in Book 2 Ghost, if you have to prepare for war, then you've already lost. You have to be ready at all times. You have to have your guard up, make sure you cover all your bases, be on a constant lookout, which I do think is why the DSDs fell towards the end of episode 2, which is also why Lou got caught in season 1 of Raising Kanan. There are no nights off in this game. You kick back and take a night off for a drink like Lou in Raising Kanan, or like Chavo and the DSDs did in the open, knowing who's out there, game over. But it does look like they're getting ready to get locked and loaded, ready to retaliate against the Marquez cartel. We've also got DMAC in play with Marshall, and maybe also with the CBI, which may actually be Janard and Diamond's plan. Put him in the line of fire and let the Marquez cartel take DMAC out. Diamond is still hellbent on getting rid of DMAC, and as each episode passes by, the clock is ticking. King Kilo mentioned to Janard that he has 1 week. That was in episode 1. So let's see if Diamond and Janard have anything to do with why DMAC is here. Because Tommy made it loud and clear in episode 2. For as long as he was in the CBI, DMAC was out. There is no way Uncle Tommy puts a gun in DMAC's hands in episode 3, after what he just said. It definitely will happen a bit later on, but definitely not in episode 3. In my episode 2 breakdown, I also mentioned if I were in Janard's shoes, I'd actually serve him up to the Chinese, give them the drop on DMAC and let them take him out, keep their hands clean, which is still a plot I do think they'll come back around to. But maybe Janard actually goes to DMAC and tells him the CBI have a job for him, and we all know how much he wants to get down with the CBI. We all saw the disappointed look when Janard came in and told him, you know, the CBI have bigger fish to fry and he's just not on top of their list. So this might actually be what they mean from the synopsis where they teased Janard and Diamond are going to come up with a new plan to deal with DMAC. Janard brings him in, lets him do some of their dirty work, and at the same time, they're probably hoping that he gets smoked in the crossfire. Let's see how it plays out. We know the Marquez cartel are ready for war, there's going to be a lot of gunfight, a lot of action in episode 3, a lot of death. Let's see how this goes down, what chaos they cause, and what mess they make before Shay comes back to Chicago. That's another thing to keep in mind. At this moment in time, Shay is still in Mexico. He said to keep the peace in the streets, and the last thing he'd want is to be dragged into a cartel war. I'm sure that's something he mentioned in season 2 as well. So let's see what Shay has to say about this war between the Marquez cartel. That's if he does show up in episode 3 or maybe even in 4.
They come for one of us, they come for all of us.
Now, in terms of Tommy's next move, I do think he knows this is where he needs to keep a very close eye on Janard and Diamond. We've got him here watching his back in the barbershop, and this was a previous teaser that was released where we had Shanti warning Tommy that the brothers are going to be sticking together, which did coincide with them showing also this scene.
These brothers, they looking out for themselves.
Now we know it's easy to manipulate teasers and trailers, so I'm not actually sure whether we will actually see this scene in episode 3 with Tommy and Shanti, but I do think Tommy knows regardless, especially because of what happened at the end of episode 2. Joseph Sikora also has spoken about this prior to season 3. He knows the relationship between Janard and Diamond is very similar to his and Ghost. Blood is thicker than water, and he is going to have to be very wary of the two, because if there does ever come a time to pick Janard or Tommy, he may be the loser in this particular triangle. So from episode 3 onwards, we're going to have Tommy watching his back, not just when it comes to the Marquez cartel, but I do think he's beginning to realize he needs to keep a close eye on Janard and Diamond as well. Now we've also got Tommy in conversation with someone. We know they're making a move on everyone the Serbs used to supply, Maybe Tommy's got his hands on another crew, or one of his existing members of his coalition have trouble with someone paying for them for product. Maybe it's a member of the DSDs who's telling him about Chavo. He says if they come for one of them, they come for all of us. And I do think this is where we're going to see that scene where we see Tommy throwing someone off the roof. That's something we saw way back in the first teaser that was released for Season 3. But can he keep this coalition in line under his control? That's the question going forward. Especially because it took Jannar to step in at the end of episode 2. He knows he may be losing control, and that's where I see alliances shifting and the balance of power shifting moving forward. Season 3 is a very intricate chess game at this moment in time, and from where I'm sitting, I really don't believe Tommy's on top of every single situation. But definitely a topic I will be unpacking this week, that's for sure. But that's a breakdown of the trailer for episode 3, interesting times ahead. I do think they're building up for a mega episode 5, they're taking their time, being patient, they're letting certain storylines cook, which I do think that should have been the approach from season 1. Gary Lennon definitely has changed a lot, and had he been in control since season 1, Force would have probably looked very different. But let's see what else they've got in store for us in episode 3. With that being said, the floor is now yours. Drop all your thoughts and comments down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.